economic regulator, Nigerian Shippers Council, has a duty to ensure that the tools of its trade stay sharp. Staying sharp means these tools can cut through anything in the maritime sector. The tools we are referring to are the brains of the staff of the council. It was in line with this objective that staff of Nigerian Shippers Council were assembled at the head office in Lagos for a capacity building program. In the next half hour, we shall be bringing you highlights of that training if you stay tuned to the program, The Shipper. Thanks for joining us. Don't go away.
Nigerian Shippers Council, they to serve you well. No matter the problem, we go solve them for you.
Yes, so the Nigerian Shippers Council, they feel in a parole now for every level. And as soon as goods, they move from port A, go enter port B with a measure within on a need. For the Nigerian Shippers Council, we don't sharp proper to fit hear you wella, work with you wella, and help you fit serve your customers them better, no matter where them day. As we country port economic regulator, the Nigerian Shippers Council get every now to fit make government consider the problem where shippers them they face. Visit we office for number 4 or to buy your daily show your daily. Papa email us for nsc@shipperscouncil.gov.ng. We website now www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng. Nigerian Shippers Council with a meeting for the port of Nane.
Welcome to The Shipper, Nigeria's authoritative public enlightenment program on maritime activities. My name is Rekia Zikru Yagoyaju. Moving on, the Executive Secretary of Nigerian Shippers Council, Honorable Emmanuel Jime, has pledged his commitment to staff welfare and development for optimal and effective service delivery. He gave this assurance at a training for staff of the council in Lagos. Abike Idowu covered the event for The Shipper. The report is presented by Lucy Ulugbe.
Keeping the workforce sharp and progressive in terms of knowledge base is an essential ingredient for growth and excellent service delivery for every organization. Apart from maintaining and replacing hardware, there must be a conscious effort to develop human capital. For 3 weeks, staff of Nigerian Shippers Council were exposed to the various activities in the maritime industry. According to the Executive Secretary of the Council, who was represented by the Assistant Director, Learning and Development, Mrs. Esther Nanley, the purpose of the training program was to re-equip staff with basic knowledge on the mandate of the Council and its areas of operations. It is standard practice for new intakes of the Council to be sent on rotations to all departments and units before they are finally posted to their areas of primary assignments. This training was conducted on site at the training room of the Council with participants divided into 3 batches. The curriculum had 13 modules aimed at giving staff an overview of developments in the maritime industry. The representative of the Executive Secretary of Shippers Council, while declaring the training program open, told participants that the program was designed to test and deepen staff knowledge on the fundamentals of the maritime sector in Nigeria in particular and the world in general. She disclosed that Shippers Council intends to develop a formidable human resource that will deliver the mandate of the Nigerian Shippers Council in the most efficient way.
This training is very, very rich. We are supposed to take it round so that everyone will have the knowledge.
Staff were introduced to the global maritime environment by Captain Adegboyega Olokpenya. His presentation focused on International Maritime Organization, IMO, International Labour Organization, ILO, and the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, UNCTAD, and Ports Management Association of West and Central Africa, PMOCHA.
We are trying to look at the role of IMO, the role of ILO, the role of the IHO, the role of NIMASA, Shippers Council, NPA, NEWA, and the various other aspects of the maritime industry, so that anybody that works in any of these agencies, when it's outside, you can and is asked about the maritime, he should be able to talk about it. He will understand what the different agencies do. There will be a distinction between what the NEMASA does and what Shippers Council does and what NPA does. Because in the past, we realized that most people that work in the industry, because of their background, maybe somebody who's working in the admin department or in the accounts department, they may not show enough interest in the core functions of these agencies. But it's better for you to have a better grasp of what the industry is all about.
The training also highlighted the roles of maritime institutions and key players in Nigeria's maritime sector in a presentation by Ephraim Efita.
People in the industry and sometimes ask them the functions of these organizations, public and private, and there's a mix-up, in the way they describe them. So after attending this program, I don't expect that any of the students, would make that mistake anymore. And it's also to expose them to the functions of these organizations so they get to know better.
Although Nigeria, even with an enviable coastline, is still struggling to attain maritime nation status, staff were educated on what it takes to manage and own a ship. This session was taken by Captain Tajuddin Alao.
Part of what we are actually doing when you are building, you are also surveying when you are building. But if you are buying, there must be what we call a condition survey. You must have approved surveyors that can go to anywhere in the world to go and help you do condition survey of your vessel that you have just bought. Or, if possible, if they don't want people to go over there, they can give you an interim certificate of registry that will bring you to bring the vessel to Nigeria under the other flag. And when you get here, within 6 months, you must now do proper condition survey and get the necessary registration dates, and then other measurements are done.
Another aspect of the training, which was taken by Mr. Dele Alabi, focused on activities and terms used in the maritime sector. For example, vessels chartering, carriage of goods by sea, bill of lading, waybill, amongst others.
Business people, businessmen in the maritime community, it is difficult for them in practical terms to muster the resources to own vessels of their own, and in that situation they often decide to go into arrangements whereby they could charter vessel either based on time or based on the voyage or whatever the intensity of the work the vessels meant to carry out for them. So it is very important, as it were, especially for Nigerian Shippers Council, looking at the law, the act that established the council. You need to interface with people, shippers in particular, and by extension a number of standard forms and patterns have emerged. These are known within the industry as the customs of this trade. If chartering is considered as a trade, that means there are specific formats of going into these contracts. So if it is time, or it is a voyage, or it is a bareboat charter, there are definite forms, and specific clauses are recognized, and this contract is conducted in line with these provisions. For instance, the jurisdiction in a country like Nigeria, officially for ocean-going vessels, there are very few business people who have vessels. We don't seem to have any official Nigerian flag vessel that trades from one port to the other. So, but for those areas of the maritime business that could be undertaken, particularly locally within the framework of the cabotage provision, possible to arrange for chartering of vessels. So it is key that the knowledge base is increased in this area, so as to empower parastatal like Shippers Council, and they will have officials who have a full appreciation of what are the critical issues to consider.
International conventions and national laws like ISPS codes also came up for discussion by Captain Adegboyega Olokpenye.
When you are in the maritime industry, And you hear somebody says solars. Somebody that is working in the Shippers Council should be able to understand what solars means, even at the rudimentary level. So this is what solars stands for, and it stands for safety of life at sea. When somebody says, what is MAPO? A staff of Shippers Council or NEWA or NIMASA, any of these maritime agencies should be able to talk about all these acts. Even at whether you are working in the admin department or you are in the accounts department or in the PR, you should have elementary knowledge of all these international conventions.
Another area that was also looked at was maritime insurance, freight rates, determination and estimation, demurrage and dispatch, which was taken by Mr. Shola Shobowale.
You can have an actual total loss. When we say something is an actual total loss, I believe we can understand what it means. That means the subject matter of the insurance is destroyed. It is no longer existing. That is an actual total loss. In that case, what will the cover pay? What will the policy pay? The policy will pay the entire sum insured. You insure a vessel and the vessel sinks, and it is not possible to raise that vessel again. Then we have an actual total loss.
Beneficiaries of the training described the training as timely. The shippers spoke with some of them.
For the past 3 days, we've been put through a lot of all information, and the training has been very inspiring. Honestly speaking, before the training, there are many things I've been pondering upon that I didn't know as a staff of Nigerian Shippers Council. But with this training, it has served as an eye-opener for me. From vessels to all these shipping agencies, I've been able to learn a lot.
I've learned a lot about shipping, the maritime industry, laws of the maritime industry. One thing that I really learned and I like is the parts of the ship, the right-hand side, which is the starboard, and the left-hand side, which is the stern.
We've learned several things, the agencies, the parts of a ship, the arches. With time, we shall be able to use this thing to our job.
I've learned a lot of things. Before, I didn't really know about some shipping terminologies, but now I think I'm conversant with many shipping terms. Yeah.
I learned a great deal, particularly the technical aspects of shipping that have to do with pilotage, anchorage, mooring, and so many other things which I didn't know about before.
It's an introductory training, and it has really enriched my knowledge about maritime industry. Technical terms were shared. So much was shared in the class, and I think I'm a better person to how I came into the program.
The training has been very, very informative and educative. I've learned so much on ship management and ownership. I've learned so much. A lot of technical terms that I just heard I don't have an understanding of. I understand perfectly well now. Demurrage, calculating demurrage, etc.
I've learned more about the industry, more about the modalities, things that go on in the industry, more details, in-depth details about ships, vessels, berthing, the operations at the port, and just, general knowledge about trade and transport.
We deal with the shippers. Any shipper that approaches you, and you know what to tell the person. And if there's any problem, you know how we can solve the problem for the shipper.
Definitely, it's going to come a long way to helping us. Especially, there was a course where we did determination of freight rates. It's going to help. Demurrage as well. It's going to help. And these are the things. Me being an operations officer, it's an added advantage to us as well.
It should be a continuous training for the staffs, both at the junior level and at management level.
The success of the program has served as a catalyst for the expansion of the scope of such trainings planned for the future.
Training is the oil that lubricates Shippers Council's wheel of progress. Let's now join Abike Idowu, who's standing by to bring us updates of other events in the world of maritime.
It's tidbits on your favorite maritime program, The Shipper. I am Abike Ido. In a bid to drive efficiency, transparency and effectiveness of port processes, the Nigerian Shippers Council (NSC) has sought for cooperation and collaboration with shipping companies. The Executive Secretary and Chief Executive Officer of the Council, Honorable Emmanuel Jime, stated this when he led the agency on a courtesy visit to Maersk Line and Mediterranean Shipping Company (MSC) in Lagos. The NSC boss wants the shipping companies to operate and conduct their operations within the regulatory framework of the Council, adding that they are expected to give NSC team unfettered access to monitor their operations to ensure compliance to set standards.
We as Shippers Council will seek cooperation and collaboration of shipping companies, to drive efficiency, transparency and effectiveness of port processes. I think this is a key component of how we're going to deliver, on services in our ports. Second, we think shipping companies must continue to ensure that they operate and conduct their operations, within the framework of the Shippers Council's regulatory guidelines. I think that will help us, once there's an understanding of the exact kind of framework that we're putting in place, so as to be able to deliver on our mandate as well. That, I think, will help the industry. Third, we want to ensure, for instance, that every charge or fee that's collected by shipping companies generally, of course, are tied to services that are rendered. I think that makes sense, and we think if we do that, we can actually avoid the incidence of what in the industry appears to begin to look like some exploitative, tendencies.
Managing Director Maersk Line, Lara Lana, expressed delight that NSC paid the visit. She lauded the council for calling the establishment of customer desk.
Maersk is a company founded on values. We have a strong sense of obligation to our customers to make sure that people that we contract with also engage with our customers in line with those values. We have received from customers as well a lot of complaints about what's going on in the holding bays. Please have our full assurance that this has been reviewed. In fact, our port captain would also confirm that this morning we still had a meeting reviewing all the 10 holding bays, and there are strong measures that we will take where we see that there's non-compliance going on. We have a zero tolerance for corruption. We have zero tolerance for extortion to our customers. We'll provide customers an outlet in the next 10 days maximum where they can report any holding bay that is extorting them, and we will take the necessary action.
The Managing Director of Mediterranean Shipping Company, Mr. Andrew Lynch, said access to ports is a major challenge. He, however, affirmed their readiness to abide by NSC's regulatory activities at the ports.
Every year, part of the condition for renewing our license is show me how many containers you brought in, show me how many containers you brought out. But we can only bring out the containers that there's a terminal available to receive them and load them on our ship. And this is actually the area where we have the challenge. Hence, we've moved to using Niger dock and sweeper vessels. But this is actually all cost. At the end of the day, it's a cost of shipping in Nigeria if you bring full containers on one vessel and then you bring another vessel to bring empties out. And this is a cost which we shouldn't have, actually. And in terms of bringing down the overall cost for operating here, which will benefit everybody, will benefit importers, will benefit us, because then our prices can be more competitive and we can hopefully get more cargo, will boost trade. I think it's something, as all industry regulators and all stakeholders, so shipping lines, terminals, clearing agents, NSC, MPA, possibly NAMASA, it's something that we should all try to get around. How can we more or less go back to a situation that we had up to about 2017, where the terminals were managing to take the empties out?
Now, remember that as a regulated service provider, you need to register via the website www.shipperstradedata.gov.ng. It is compulsory. Now, let's check on our complaints register for the week. Seven complaints were received,
3 have been resolved and 4 are ongoing investigations. The complaints include outrageous charges, damage to goods, arbitrary charges, delayed refund payments, and non-payment of refund. Mr. Oseni Yusuf of FEMAC Resources and Logistics Limited was able to resolve an issue of unfair storage charges amounting to 581,000 naira after it came to the council. Here is his letter of appreciation. And now, global maritime news. Georgia Ports Authority, GPA, in the United States has completed its new rail terminal as Port of Savannah continues work on clearing container backlog. GPA is now operating 9 new sets of rail tracks at the Mason Mega Rail Terminal, increasing rail capacity to and from the Port of Savannah by 30%. Erin Lewenhut is to take over the helm at Swedish company Concordia Maritime as Kim Holman retires. Lewenhut, the head of sustainability for Stena Line, will take over as CEO of Concordia Maritime on 1st of January 2022. Ullman is retiring from Concordia Maritime after a 45-year-long career in shipping and was involved in starting Stena's tanker business, now divided between Stena Bulk and Concordia Maritime. He has been CEO of Concordia Maritime for the last 8 years. Singapore is making available at least 12,000 vaccine doses for international seafarers for the next phase of its crew vaccination program. Singapore started vaccinating non-resident seafarers in its Sea Crew Vaccination Initiative, CVAX, in August, and the next phase of the scheme took effect from 15th November 2021 and will run through to 30th June 2022. To date, more than 8,000 non-Singaporean sea crew have received at least 1 vaccination dose in the Republic, and 90% are fully vaccinated. And that's it on this week's Tidbits. Till next time.
The Nigerian Shippers Council is now better poised with responsive systems in place to help you and other shippers get seamless, stress-free transition for your clients' goods from point A to B. Today at the Nigerian Shippers Council, timeliness, orderliness, transparency and efficiency is all we care about. Put your complaint through to our helpline. Visit us at number 4 Ayodele Shoyode Lane, Apapa, Lagos, or reach us on www.shipperscouncil.gov.ng.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the point of your need.
Nigerian Shippers Council, we meet you at the port of your need.
And that's it on The Shipper for this week. Before we go, another reminder to all regulated service providers to register with Nigerian Shippers Council on www.shipperstradedata.gov.ng. Do have a swimmingly great week ahead. Goodbye.